Okay. Sweet.
Welcome back, bookworms and listeners. This is our day 4 discussion. The first thing we're going to do is tell you we're going to spoil everything except the rest of Wind and Truth. But first, we're going to look at text messages. Oh no. Potentially, CJ will be here with us for the next one, uh, is what he just said, because influenza has invaded his house.
Yuck.
That sucks. Best wishes and a speedy recovery, even though this will go up likely by the time you're recovered. It's the thought that counts. We're going to spoil everything in the Cosmere except days 5 through 10 of Wind and Truth, right? There's a chance we'll talk about everything. If you're not caught up in the Cosmere, consider this your fair warning. With me today is, as always, the sandbox. Wait, not always. Most of the time. Recently. The sandbox Trevor. Hello, welcome. Uh,
Hey.
it's at the sandbox underscore official on YouTube, right? Yes,
Yep.
I got it.
And you can always just put in the sandbox Cosmere, something of mine will come up.
Yes. Also, his channel link is linked in the description if you're on YouTube. It's in the description. Uh, my wife got me the Stormlight ugly sweater for Christmas,
Yes.
so
Isn't it so comfy?
very
It's like a little
comfortable.
tight around the arms, but I kind of
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, it'll
Like
stretch
insulating.
probably. Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
it's very
It's very
cozy.
nice.
Yeah. And even people who aren't as nerdy as me have said, "That's a nice looking sweater. Are those
Hmm.
knives?" And then I go,
So
"No, they're honor blades." And they go,
what's
"Okay.
that?
What? What?"
My dad saw it. He's like, "There's swords on your sweater." I'm like, "There are."
It's the Swordlight Archive.
The Sword Light Archive, yes.
Also, it's storming here, and while our power typically doesn't go out, there's a chance it will. But we have a lot of ground to cover, so we are going to do that. Because for day 4, Dalinar and Navani saw a world on fire. Pattern was ready for murder. Szeth kicked butt in Shadesmar. Sigel and his math nerd Spren led the defense on the Shattered Plains. And Adolin taught Yonagon how to use plate, play towers, and be a friend. You
Oh.
got a friend in me. Do do do. You got a friend in me.
So, do we want to start with the interludes, right?
We are going to start with interludes 5 and
Okay.
6.
I'm gonna let you lead for this one because I was so confused during this one. Oh my gosh.
I have tried to make sense, and I imagine somebody out there on the internet that I have not seen has made way more sense of this.
I'm sure
So,
of it.
interlude 5, the point of view character is Baxel. And we've seen Baxel before. He had been hired by somebody that he only knew as Mistress, which had
Hmm.
turned out to be the Herald Shalash.
Mm.
He was hired, I believe, to smash art of her. If I remember correctly, he had been hired to help her smash art because that's her thing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I just
Uh,
remember her doing that. I don't remember her hiring people to do that.
there's one interlude in like Words of Radiance or something
Okay.
where Baxel and his friend that I do not remember the name of, they talk with her and I want to say that he talks about the Night Watcher, but I don't think that's correct. What we have here in this interlude is that Baxil has gone to the Night Watcher and has gained a boon and a curse. And he has
Hmm.
a rather strange ailment where he cannot be seen unless he's being looked for, and he can't touch anybody unless they are trying to kill him.
Sounds like he's a spren of some sort.
Right. And so this whole interlude is just this little vignette of him meeting Axes the Collector, who seeks out Spren, in a tea room.
Oh, so he is a Spren because he's
No.
looking for him.
Well,
No?
no. So the thing
Oh, the
is,
way you worded it sounded
I
so
know, I
poetic.
know.
Okay.
But because Sanderson addresses this in the chapter, Axes goes, "Are you sure you're not a Spren?" or something like that. And Baxel goes, "Yes, I'm sure." And Axes goes, "Well, I'm putting you in the index or whatever anyways
Mm-hmm.
because you're super
Mm-hmm.
weird." And then Axes hands him special cloth made in a special way that is not divulged. Baxel pays him with a spren that Axes has been seeking, but that's also not told what it is. So there's just a spren in a gem. We don't know what kind of spren it is. Axes goes, "It's better to see you in the wild, but this will do, I guess." Now, so this just tickles my brain because it's weird magic, right? Baxel went to the Night Watcher and asked for something, and I've been trying to figure it out what it is. And if anybody has any ideas, please put them in the comments because I have not figured it out. But part of it is that if people are thinking about something, in this case, they were thinking about tea because they were in a tea house. Baxel was able to taste the tea. Otherwise, he can't taste it. I believe his body is incorporeal because he mentions that he's like smoke from a dying fire, and the cloth bandages keep him in together.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the Night Watcher and the old magic,
Yes.
is this like a monkey paw thing where they come and like, I want to be able to fly, and they're like, cool, you can fly, but you also will only fly upside down? Like, is it like that, or is it
I
like they
believe
just come and like, I want some stuff, and then they just like give them something?
it's closer to monkey paw than not. So it's like
Okay.
it's essentially based off of everything has a cost. So even though cultivation is really the only person we've seen give curses and boons, right? Like Dalinar, Teft, not Teft, Dalinar, Taravangian. I was thinking Felt in my head because Felt tried. Um, Dalinar, Lift, Taravangian. They were all granted boons by cultivation, and they're cursed by cultivation. So we don't actually know what the Night
Mm.
Watcher does specifically, except here we have the evidence that there's clearly a boon curse system going on. So
Do
Baxel
we
went.
think that the
Go
Night
ahead.
Watcher is trying to replicate the night, capital N?
Replicate it how? Like,
I don't know, because I mean, it's in the name, like Night Watcher. Do you think it like
yeah.
watches
So
what night used to do? And
the sibling said that it used to be the stone, the wind, and the night, and
hmm
nobody really liked the night. And then cultivation took it and changed it into something that was different enough that people forgot that it was the night
Hmm.
and turned it into the Night Watcher.
Interesting. That
And
sounds like a good theory.
that just to me that makes me think that cultivation took the ancient old spren of the night, transformed it into something that ultimately, not necessarily because of something cultivation did, but just because its nature wants to go back to being the night, and but it's like stuck in the form that it's in, so it always watches the night like
Mm,
longingly, right?
that's a
I
good
don't know.
one. I like that.
Could be.
That's my headcanon until we get something different.
That works for me. Uh, yeah, super weird interlude. I'm a little annoyed that we didn't get the specifics about what the bandages were for or what the spren was. Either one would have been a treat, and we were denied that and instead just given a massive confusion.
So I feel like I don't know if it's just because of the Invisible Man, but I just think of the bandages as like a way for people to see him or
Right.
like see part of
Yes.
him.
Yeah, I think that's I don't know. I don't know because it makes it seem like he can't be seen unless you know to look out for him, which includes the bandages.
Well, only if the bandages see themselves as part of him. Because that's how souls work in Cosmere now. I
Sure.
mean, not
Yes.
now, but I mean, Emperor's soul
Right.
explains that. So
That
maybe
could,
he has special bandages. I don't
I
know.
think, because I think the bandages are to keep his body together.
Mm, mm. Okay.
And I think it's because he's some sort of vapor. And the curse, I don't know. I feel like the curse would is maybe he wanted courage. Maybe he wanted um, some sort of immortality. Uh,
Oh, courage would be interesting. Like he has the courage to do things, but nobody can see him do it, so he gets
right.
no fame for it. That'd be cool.
Now, we forgot to mention, you and I have both finished the book at this point.
I finished it 2 nights ago.
Yes. We are
Yes.
not going to talk as if we know what's going to happen next, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
if we put forward theories, they could be true or false.
I am really good at that. I'll
Yes.
also stick mainly to where I think it could go beyond the book
Yes.
without spoiling anything after this.
What I'm going to say here is that what I knew, I remember what I was thinking when I read this. This is happening in Azamir,
Mm.
and I remember thinking, wouldn't it be so badass if Baxil, who has a sword, he's mentioned to have a sword several times where he's holding
Mm.
on to the sword. Wouldn't it be super cool if this interlude played into how Adolin saves Azamir if he's able to? Like they're about to be overrun, and then all of a sudden, fused start dying because something nobody can see is killing them. And then
That'd be
back,
really cool. Yeah,
right?
I feel like we would need to see the end of that with Baxel, right?
Yes.
Like, because otherwise it wouldn't be as satisfying if it's just like we're losing. Oh, now we're winning.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna briefly try to find where the Baxil interlude was in a previous book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
was just thinking like it'd be interesting if someone has the free time to just read all the interludes, like just skip the main story, just read interludes back to back from like Way of Kings to this. I wonder how it would read. I'm curious.
that would be cool. So Baxil's
Dragon
interlude
Secret.
was interlude 7 for the Way of Kings. He's with his friend Av, and they're following Mistress, who is Shalash. Um, and we are going to. They are in the palace at Azamir, right? Hold on.
Are they?
Um,
Who is Baxel?
yeah, Baxil, Shalash.
They're in some tea shop, I thought.
No, I meant in interlude 7 in the
Oh,
Way
oh,
of Kings.
earlier.
Yeah.
Got it.
Um, I promise this will be worth it. Yes, they're destroying some art. And then, yes, Baxel does say he's been thinking of seeking the old magic.
Right.
Um, his friend Av says he doesn't want to um, go seek the Night Watcher or the old magic because his brother went and came back with two numb hands. Never could feel anything with them again. He asks what was his boon. Don't know, he never said. Seemed embarrassed. Probably asked for something silly like a good haircut. Oh yeah, Baxel was asking, thought about asking for courage.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
I could phrase my request perfectly. Um, and then yeah, his father went. Av's father went. got a heap of good cloth, and then always saw the world upside down from then on.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Wow, super weird. Um,
Yeah, I think we'll get a lot more answers on the old magic, the Night Watcher, cultivation in the back half. I've been saying that for a long time now. I think lift and cultivation and like that, just that side will kind of mirror match what we got with Kaladin and Honor in this first half. It just makes sense. Odium will just kind of persist as this threat. Um, but yeah, we'll see.
yeah. And then interlude six, which we know every other interlude now is odium. That's the pattern. It may not hold.
That's the pattern.
That is the pattern.
So he had
This
decided
episode
last time he's gonna give. What do you got?
brought by Winter Spiced Cranberry Sprite.
Nice. So we
Uh,
learned last time that Odium's gonna give each side of himself a chance to rule intellect and emotion, and this one I think is intellect at first, right?
I believe so. And
Yeah.
then
So
it
wait, let me.
and then it switches to yeah.
Nope, nope, nope.
Intellect
Yep.
is
So
gonna rule.
this is intellect today. So he goes home to Carbronth,
Uh-huh.
and he finds Dova,
Who is actually,
which we learn is actually Batar, Herald of the Else Callers, right?
is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Else Callers. She's the one. I'm gonna bring out my nifty little thing from what's it called?
Ooh.
Nexus. And I'm not gonna show you guys the front of this, but she is the last art. I don't have the other two because they didn't make enough. But there's Dova.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
Dovahkiin.
anywho,
Pusroda.
Dovahkiin.
Um,
So Dova is a smarty pants. But let's see, these are the notes I have down. Odium fears he needs to feed the power some emotion, otherwise it might leave him for Bam, aka Bay Auto Mishram. So he makes a deal with Dova, offering her a small planet, um, and a protective way off of Roshar in exchange for her service, mainly the gift of sight with crystal spikes, which sounds a lot like Inquisitors to me.
it sure does. Specifically, the crystal spikes grant the ability to see investiture.
Yes.
So, and we know
So,
there's only one person
who
that's
would need that
blind.
right now? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Vire.
Fire.
That's our old friend Moash.
Moash.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Very curious.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
And that's really it. Yeah. He
Yeah,
does
that's it.
mention specifically that when intellect rules, or when passion rules, sorry, when emotion rules, you're still using intellect, but you're basing your decisions off of the
Off of
emotion,
emotion. Right.
not just letting emotion rule because
Yeah.
the power wants to just have the strong emotions all the time, anger, lust,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
And intellect is using Teravangian's logic and reasoning to make decisions versus what his heart tells him to do, pretty much.
Right. Right. Now, day four was
Yes.
a chunky set of
It
chapters.
was, right? And
It
after day three,
was,
which was so short,
yeah, it
how
was
long is day four?
43 to 54, 50, 43 to 54.
Okay, yep, there it is.
But there were a lot of POV jumping.
A lot of that, yeah. And I see where people are coming from when they say this feels like just one long Sanderlanche because you usually don't get a lot of POV jumping within chapters. But I think that keeps the energy up here. Some people disagree, but that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking through. There are a few chapters, but they're shorter ones where it's just a single POV, like
Yeah,
a Zeth flashback, or I think this first one here is Dalinar.
that's right.
Yeah. So who do you want to start with character again? Go
I
character
do.
by character,
Yeah,
or
I
go
think going through the
event by event.
characters, especially because for Dalinar, Navani, Shallan, Relaine, and Renarin, we'll be able to talk about the spiritual realm And I don't think we have to delve too far into what actually happened, because we understand as readers from everything that we've
Context
read
clues.
before, yeah, context
Hmm.
clues and stuff, what's going on a little better than what's going on for
What
them.
they know.
They're
Yeah.
figuring it out in the moment, and we're like, okay, we already know. But there
Yeah,
are
yeah.
some really interesting bits to touch on. I
Hmm.
think we should do Kaladin and Szeth
First?
um, first
Okay.
because one of the coolest fights
Theirs is
happens.
theirs is pretty simple from what remember.
Yep,
Yeah.
it sure
So
was.
Zeth is becoming the Pokemon master. He's gonna
Yes,
go to monasteries and beat the guys and take their swords.
that is right.
And this
That's
one he goes to the Will Shaper Monastery.
right. Which we know that the ideals of the Will Shaper is about freedom, and so they get
Yeah.
there,
I
right?
don't do they say those oaths with the honor blades?
No,
Do they even like care about those ideals? I don't think they do.
I'm not sure. I doubt it.
Maybe at one point they did. I don't know, but yeah.
Um, but they go to the Will Shaper Monastery.
Hmm.
It's a fortified city. It's not like broken down. It's not like
Hmm.
people are like the people know what's up a little bit more. Like it's a different feel from the Stone Ward Monastery, right?
Hmm.
And then there's a lot of conversation between Cal and Zeth about how to approach dark thoughts. Um, and
Yeah, Kaladin's still giving him therapy. We
yes,
saw in day three, Zeth is like he sees there's value in what Kaladin is saying because he sees that he brings value. And so now he's like, okay, what's the next step? Like, how do I combat these dark thoughts in my mind? And Kaladin tells him like, you need to have warrior thoughts, other thoughts to kind of disparage those dark ones that come at you. And so Zeth tries that in this day, and he has varying levels of success, but
yeah. But this
yeah.
is this is really useful in real life. Like
Hmm.
I don't, everybody gets intrusive thoughts. It's when they start to win that you start feeling worse and worse, in my
Yes.
experience. And so having a way to counteract those, it does feel like a warrior
Yeah.
is fighting them off.
Yeah. This is something my wife teaches a lot of her clients. She's a therapist, so
Sure.
it's fun getting her take on Sanderson's therapy.
Yeah, I
Uh,
expect Sanderson went to like therapy website
oh
board,
yeah,
message
yeah.
boards,
He's
and
always well researched with this stuff.
it
Like,
really is. Yeah.
yeah, it feels authentic.
It does. It does. It's really nice. And then his spren, Zeth's spren is like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But it turns out Zeth is his high spren's first knight radiant.
Right. So he's learning just as much as Zeth is, maybe even more, because Zeth
Right.
is like at least aware of like the surges and some of the history. Um, so yeah,
Right.
it's
And then they get to the monastery and they find a dead warden and
they
the honor blade.
do.
Yeah, they find the Will Shaper honor blade because it appears like this warden, this honor Nimi, did not give in to whatever the unmade or the yeah, whatever the voice is setting up. Um, didn't give into it. And then Kaladin offers to scout others so they can split up and cover more ground. He lets Szeth choose, and in the end, decides to stay with him. Szeth proclaims he's starting to feel better, but his spren questions his actions. Uh, and what did you put there?
I don't
Trevor
know.
did such a great job of writing down what happened in the chapters. This is amazing work, uh, and I'm
Oh,
incapable of reading it.
his friend questions his actions, though he does understand Zeth's
Okay.
rationale, given that he doesn't have all the facts yet. So Zeth is like, I don't know what to decide because I don't have all the facts, and the spread's like, this is good.
Yeah,
Like, good reasoning.
I like
I
that.
don't either know what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
There's a lot of
We don't have his name yet, right? We don't get the Spress name for a bit. All
no.
right, okay.
Yeah.
No.
Um, I like that there is a push and a pull to what Zeth is learning here because life is messy like that, right? It's not just like here, a lot of the times it's not just like, here you go, this is the way to do it. Now you can do it perfectly and move on.
Yeah,
Often there are two competing or multiple competing voices in your head.
exactly. Yeah,
Great job, Sanderson.
yeah.
Then we
I
get,
really like that journey for Zeth, like of trying to decide what to do, what is right.
yeah, what is the law?
Hmm. But yeah, so skipping ahead a few chapters to Zeth's interaction with this priest, right?
The first Zeth
Because
fight?
there is no priest there, but then all of a sudden Zeth just appears in Shadesmar, and then he sees who was it? Posen?
Yes,
Posen. Posen is the Else Caller like priest, honor bearer, whatever.
right.
Um, and so yeah, the Will Shapers have that. Was it not transportation? Is that it?
Yes,
Surge?
it's
Yeah.
transportation.
So he brings Zeth in, and Zeth quickly realizes that he is outnumbered because the Edge Dancer honor bearer is also there.
Which is a scary moment. I was like,
Hmm.
how is he gonna? And he's in Shadesmar.
Yep.
So what? Um, his Spren is right there with him,
And he's
and
useless.
he's
He's so
hilariously
bad.
useless. He
Zeth's
tried
like, get me a weapon. He's like, got it. Comes back. Here you go. This bead is a spoon, sir. No.
like
Not even an aluminum spoon, okay? This
yeah.
sucks.
This was where I started to think that his Spren is not intentionally t testing Zeph. His Spren is
An idiot.
negligently incompetent.
Yeah.
Like there is an active component here to being an idiot, and his friend is doing it.
He should have been like, you don't know this spoon's not the best weapon. We don't have all the facts yet.
If I say this spoon is the only weapon you can use, and that's law, will you use it?
Right. So at this point, I'm texting Alex like, there's like no good action in this book yet. And then this fight happens. I'm like, this is the best action of the book. I don't see how Sanderson's gonna top this in this book. It was so cool. Him fighting outmatched in Shadesmar, like no way to get out. This edge dancer, like he creates like this tunnel thing, right? Like I imagine like a construction site where there's like
Yeah,
that beam, and they're like
yeah,
skateboarding around in it. Like he's
yeah,
flying, the edge dancer's just like looping around, fighting him, and I think she gets a hit on him. They're like, ah, well, you
yep.
lost, sorry, kiddo, and they don't know that he is a radiant because that's like from what we know, this is part of the reason why he's truthless is because he thought the Radiants had returned, which is why he was so shocked to see Kaladin and like, where's the
Hmm.
Radiants? Because like, wait, I thought I was truthless. Like, this is truth. So they don't know he can heal, and he's like talking to Nightblood during this fight. Nightblood sounds different for some reason. I read this. I didn't listen to it. How different did Nightblood sound with
I
Kramer?
also read it, so I am unsure.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay. You're speed reading this demon, I know.
I
Um,
expect Michael Kramer didn't do anything different, but
yeah.
it's
He's probably
possible he
just
will.
like a distorted Nightblood or something. I don't know. But
Right?
yeah, so he brings out Nightblood. He heals it. They don't know. He brings out Nightblood, who instead of being a jet black sword in Shadesmar, like as he is in the physical realm, he's like the brightest beam of golden light, which I can only assume is just like he's that invested.
Yes, right?
What's your
It's
take on that?
my take is that exactly like it is if I had to guess, cognitive realm for objects, I don't know. it super awakened, right? Or not super invested, just because of the awakening, right? So it's a ton of breaths shoved into the sword, and then
Right.
there's a chance that Nightblood still has leftover investiture from what he's
Right.
consumed previously.
Right. Because we learned that he like poops it out or something, right? You
He
said?
drips it out.
He
He
drips it
drips it
out, yeah.
out. So he pees it out in little dribbles. He needs a little Nightblood diaper. Uh,
Wow, what a visual. Someone's gonna
he's
make that
he's
art, I swear.
incontinent. Um,
Yeah.
oh God. Um,
But yeah, so he
right,
drips it out.
right. He
Hmm.
drips it out. So essentially just pure investiture, almost,
Hmm.
right? It's the sword with a ton of pure investiture, and that's why he's this kind of golden beam.
Do you
Uh,
know what this reminded me of? Is we've both read the same number of books in Wheel of Time.
that's
So
right.
I mean, like I guess slight spoilers for the first, but it's really not a spoiler. But there's this like magic sword in Wheel of Time, and there's a book where they're like it's dedicated like let's go get the sword. Um, and it from what I remember, it was kind of like a similar visual in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Kind of, right? Like I feel
Kind
like
of.
that's where Sanderson got some inspiration from
Definitely.
Robert Jordan. I
Yeah,
mean, there's a lot of inspiration in Stormlight from the
sure.
Wheel of Time, but this is just
Mainly
like
the length.
another twist of it.
Yeah.
The length.
And then,
I also yeah. Go ahead.
oh, no, you go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to move us to the next portion of the chapter.
That's fine.
Okay, so, um, it's
So they
so,
discover Nightblood has been speaking to Honor Blades,
right,
right?
right. And so
He thinks he can help Szeth and give him
access to the
powers
surges.
like the Honor Blades.
Right, but he can't.
He
Uh,
can't.
now, did he kill the priestess with Nightblood already?
um,
Yes.
I think so, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
pulls out Nightblood and just
Kills
yeah,
her.
kills her. Which, if we know anything about Nightblood, that would likely be like
Permanent.
perm I mean, I guess it is permanent. We don't know what's going on, but something made me feel
Whatever is creating these priests and priestesses, it's
right.
probably lost a little bit of power because Nightblood
Nightblood.
just probably
Yeah,
siphoned it off, right? That's
yeah.
what I thought.
Super, yeah. Nightblood was an investiture vacuum.
Right. Which at this point, I thought this was an unmade. What did you think? Was like the voice and like the the thing creating these like because they're like black willowy like wisps of like
Right,
smoke,
right.
right?
I
When he
thought
kills them.
I thought it was the unmade. Later I changed my mind. But at this point,
Hmm.
I thought it was legit unmade. Uh,
Hmm. And I thought it could have been Bottom Mishram or something she left behind.
yes, right?
Yeah,
One of
there's so
the,
many theories
yeah,
I had.
it
I think
really,
at some point I texted you like, okay, it's got to be an unmade, and it's either one of these two, because like these are
right.
the only ones that made sense to me off the Coppermind.
Yeah,
I forget which ones they were, but yeah, it was interesting.
it really was. And then Posen is like, I still maybe want to fight you, but maybe not. Zeth tells Posen to stand down, saying he's starting to see things clearly. Nightblood is able to make the beads harden so Zeth can walk upon them, stating they like honor blades and the spren who make them. Something about the bond. Um, would it be shard blades or honor blades?
I think it was Honor Blades.
Yeah. Um, something about that.
Yeah,
And then
the beads themselves in Shadesmar are like the Honor Blades, and are like servicing them in a way or something. That's what it seemed like.
right. It's
Like
it's
let us serve you.
it's interesting and cool. So good
It's
job.
like it's maybe it's because they're like connected to them in a way. I don't know. Because the honor
Right?
blades are supposed to be a piece of honor.
Yeah.
Um, so that would make sense for like at least in Roshar, like the Shadesmar that like coincides with Roshar. It would make sense for like things to just kind of work for them a little bit more.
Yeah. Right?
I don't know. I feel like it would.
Yeah. That seems right.
Because
Uh
if the shards are connected, capital C, to their planets, I would imagine that the planets are connected to them or their
yeah,
systems. Yeah, I don't know.
it's cool.
That's what I was theorizing.
That's a good theory. I like that.
Yeah,
Um Now Posen leaves Szeth in Shadesmar, but
with the
left him
sword,
with the sword. So
right?
that because Szeth had a hard time with an Elfgate when he was training, he could never do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nightblood is like, you can do it. And then um it's so strange. The Honor Blade feels fear, but doesn't speak to humans. It feels wrongness in Shinovar and wishes to be with its herald.
So
Uh,
like kind of helps. Like
yeah.
Nightblood kind of encourages both of them. Maybe Nightblood was encouraging the Honor Blade, not Szeth.
Ooh.
Oh, and so the well that'd be a sneaky like little twist
Right?
there. Someone will have to read that, but I would it maybe Szeth hears Nightblood speaking to the Honor Blade, giving
Right.
encouragement, and so the Honor Blade kind of helps Szeth like fill in the cracks with his abilities so that he is able to make that transportation back to the
Yeah.
physical realm.
He's able to get back there. Um, he thinks about where he wants to go rather than trying to make an Else Gate open. Uh,
Hmm.
and it feels like one of those classic, like you can't do it when you're thinking about it, but you can do it if
Yeah,
you don't think about it.
and during this time, I wrote down he's like praying to the sprint of the blade, the sprint of the land. He's focusing on his quest. He wants to know what happened to his father, and so like he has this like maybe like you can call it intent. Like he has like this real connection to the physical realm and like things he wants to do,
Right.
and so the Honor Blade maybe feels that it's like okay, let's do it. I know where to go.
Right. Right. It
Yeah.
attaches him to the physical realm, and the Honor Blade uses that. It was cool. It worked. It worked for me. That was a solid. This chapter was a 10 out of 10 in
Yeah,
terms
this is
of
easily
action,
my favorite up to this
magic.
point.
Yeah,
And this was
uh,
chapter 53 for those wondering or wanting to reread.
that's right. Um,
Yeah.
and then
And then I love, yeah,
go ahead.
he finds Cal and Cal is like, "What are you doing, lazy bum? Like, we gotta go."
Yep. Yep. That was so
Not
funny.
realizing he just beat two people. Did he
Yeah,
get the Edge Dancer blade here, or did he not get
he
that one?
did. I believe
He
he
did.
did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he has two blades. Yeah. He
Yeah. Yeah.
does.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now they have four total plus Nightblood.
Hmm. So,
And
okay, so at this point with Kaladin, right, and I'm doing a
right.
little tangent here,
Sure.
but it's related. So I mean, I'm always trying to figure out what his next oath will be, and like I feel like we all know he's got to say the fifth in this book because we don't know if he's gonna live or die or what.
Right.
And if there's any one character who should be saying their fifth ideal in this book, it's Kaladin. He's the golden boy.
Right.
And so I've been very close between two. And after this book, after this chapter, I was leaning more towards my second favorite one, which was not that like he needs to look after himself, which we've talked about before, but I thought maybe he needs to teach people how to protect themselves instead. And with this chapter and him not being able to help Zeth, I was like, ooh, that'd be really cool to see. We just maybe it won't be physical related, maybe it'll be mental health related,
Yeah.
right? Because Zeth is already like Zeth, Kaladin, and like Adolin are like the best duelists in Roshar that I've seen.
Yeah.
So like Zeth doesn't need help from Kaladin for fighting. Zeth is probably more skilled than Kaladin even. Um, and there's reasons that Kaladin has beat him in the past, which we can talk about in a later day. Um, but yeah, I feel like helping him with his dark thoughts and things that Kaladin actually has experience with that people have not really seemed to be overcoming on their own yet.
Right.
I
Right.
thought that might be his fifth ideal. Like I need to teach people how to protect themselves from themselves, maybe.
That would be, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I
So
really
that's
like,
where that one started to get more evidence for me in this book.
yeah, that's really cool. I like that idea. Um, the Zeth flashbacks, chapter 48
Yes.
and 51. Um, So he had just killed the soldiers, or he had just
Right.
killed a soldier. He had just subtracted. And then the farmer talks to his parents and says, "You should go join the soldiers who can blaspheme stone and subtract."
Right. And his parents are like super supportive, like
Right. We'll go
they
with
want to
you.
stay with Zeth. Yeah.
You have written here, Zeth's dad should give Lirin father lessons.
Shit. At least before like day one or two of this book, where Lyra's like actually being a good dad.
That's true. That's true. He
Lyran
was.
sucks in most of the series.
Yeah. And then the second Zeth flashback, they're at the soldier camp. Um, Zeth is given a secret test for his aggression and cathartic subtracting. The voice
Right.
helps him figuring
Hmm.
it out, or to figure it out by saying, "This
And he
is a
like tells
test."
him exactly what to say,
Right.
exactly what to do, which is all Zeth wants in the world. Like, I just want to know what to do. Like, someone else tell me.
Yes. So he's very happy
Um,
with the voice.
this is his like proverbial like oath stone before his oath stone.
Yep. That's a good
Yeah.
way of putting it. Yeah. Um, the voice is revealed to be the spren of the stone he moved.
And I put not capitalized because it didn't say capital S stone like the tower sibling stone. It's
Right.
just right on the stone.
Which is odd. And
Yeah.
then somebody named Betheth leads him to the general to put him on the path to officer training.
Right.
Zeth is so good.
The guy leading that like little training session or whatever, that the test is
Yes.
like, okay, so this is someone we can train to be an officer and not just like a run-of-the-mill soldier.
Yes.
Because they're testing for aggression and like, you know, how badly these people want to subtract. Like, do they belong here on the front lines, or do they have like
Some
some
restraint.
reason? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
strength of mind there. Yeah.
Yeah. We did Bayero Mishram. We did Bayero Mishram a bit with Kaladin in chapter 52, where there's more stew. Kaladin serves Zeth more stew before Zeth goes and fights the two honor
Mm.
bearers. They talk about their goals of living for themselves. The only thing Cal can think to do for himself is a kata with a Syl spear without the spear.
Oh man, it's like the most beautiful thing in the whole book, I thought.
Yeah,
This is where they like dance with the wind and like do a kata together, right?
yeah,
And Still's becoming a little bit more physical too with it, right?
right. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Kaladin follows his own advice about warrior thoughts, and he and Syl dance as smoothly as they could, as two individuals, yet also as one fluid being. The wind soon joins
Hmm.
them, a delightful memory that Kaladin remembers from his youth and banishes all worries. The wind fills his lungs and plays the flute with him harmoniously. He
So
uses the
now
wonder. Yeah.
yeah, now
What?
now he's able to actually like play the flute not badly, and
Right.
we see it's with the wind's help.
Right.
Is
And
this
then,
important? Good
yeah,
question.
he uses the Wandersail as a backbone, but the song evolves into one about a man who has time for music. And then he realizes that Zeth is gone.
Yeah. So Kaladin's trying to figure out like, okay, if I'm gonna live for myself, what does that look like? What do I actually want to do? And the only thing he can think about is music, because that's like what Wit told him, like, here, play the flute. So he's like, I want to be a guy who has time for music, who cares about music and who can play music. And
Right?
kind of what we see here, a little bit of that with the wind helping and still helping. Um,
Super
I just
interesting.
thought it was a really beautiful scene. I thought it was well written. Um, I don't know, what were your thoughts on that?
It was a nice respite from all of the other action happening from the other characters, right?
Hmm.
We're about to go into Adolin is in the midst of fighting. We just got Navani, Dalinar, Shalon Renard, and Relaine back because they were gone for all of day
Hmm.
three. And so this is a moment where Sanderson goes, we're going to focus down in on Kaladin, and we're going to show progression and growth and potentially
Right.
a different path to because at the beginning, chapters 4, 5, 6, Dalinar goes, "If I die, you should be the king of Urithiru." And so that
Hmm.
was one potential promise that Sanderson made to us. And here he's making just a third of the way through the book, he's making a different promise to us, saying maybe Kaladin can be something else.
Yes. I also think it's kind of thematic representative of him getting a little bit closer with Szeth because the first
Yeah.
flashback we see of Szeth is him dancing with the wind.
Right.
And here Kaladin's finally doing that with Syl, which I think is important, but we won't know for a while.
Yeah. And it's also, we also see, of course, Syl is special, right? Because we've
Hmm.
seen her through the last 4 books, and we've really only seen, we haven't even seen Pattern that long, right? Syl has been the longest spren with us, but even so, um, we
Well, did Ivory didn't Ivory come with
I
the
just
Advent
meant from
before?
the reader perspective.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, from the reader perspective, Syl has been with us a long time. So, of course, we've grown attached to her. But putting that aside, this chapter juxtaposed with the next one, where Szeth fights and his spren is useless, it shows just how different the bond
Yes.
could be, right?
Yes. Yes.
It was smart of
Which
him to
they
not put a separate chapter between these two.
yeah. I also think it's like we've seen Syl dance with the wind before, like in Way of Kings, and we've seen Kaladin used to do something similar as well, but now they're doing it together. And I
Right.
like that, like as they're trying to figure out how do they live for themselves without living for the other, they're still doing things together, and I just thought that was poetic and beautiful.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, was there anything else that we missed? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
Who do you
Yeah,
want to
okay.
talk? Do you want to talk about
I think
Sigel?
I think Adolin.
Adolin? Let's go Adolin.
Yeah.
Adolin, like I just said, is in the midst of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has bits in chapter 47, 50, 52, and 54.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we need to get as detailed with this. I think,
I
most
agree.
of his stuff was set up in day three. He's fighting singers in Azamir. Like that's what he's
That's it.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good military fantasy, in my opinion. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
all of Adolin's bits were really, all of Adolin's chapters, um, they're fascinating to watch in my mind's eye,
Right.
because Sanderson does a really good job making sure you understand what the battlefield
Yeah. And
is.
from what I understand, Scar, not the book Scar, but his friend who the
Right,
character is named after, Scar, is a military or something guy,
right.
and he's been helping him as
Yes,
like a consultant of sorts to make sure it's all reasonable. It's historically, factually based, real strategies that we would do in this time period
sure,
equivalent, right? So we see that with them strategizing with Kush Cam and Adolin and what the fuse do, what are we gonna do in turn, yada yada yada. I think the more important things to hit on with this day is Maya has left,
right.
but we still see that he's able to talk to her, not psychically, but telepathically, just
Telepathically, there's a
thinking,
bond, right?
right? There's a bond happening, and even though she is like semi far away, and they're not so much talking as much as Maya's just like she's picking up on his thoughts and she's like sending good vibes, like,
Yeah,
here, take some good vibes, Adolin. Here you go. You
right,
deserve it, kiddo.
right.
Yeah.
And then also
Um,
by this time, the invading force has made a soul. They took the Soulcaster that Azamir had.
right.
They
Yes.
took it and they have made a bronze barrier around the control room.
And why bronze? I was wondering that while reading this. They know of all the metals, so why would they pick bronze? And I was trying to figure out from the Fabrials what bronze does, but I think it just like enhances or yeah, I think it enhances whatever's inside.
I
I couldn't remember.
expect so.
Do you think it's just a more durable, like harder metal?
It could, yeah. So the Soulcasters are linked to specific um,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right?
That's right. They can only
Uh,
make bronze.
Elements. Yeah, they can only make
Right.
bronze. Right. So this one can make bronze. That's why they're using it.
I
Like,
guess I was wondering why would Sanderson pick the bronze guy? Like, there's got to be something else there. I
yeah,
was theorizing so much on that. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. Because the Azish armor is also made out of bronze. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
They
that
like
that
bronze.
checks. They like
Yeah.
bronze. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bronze. They're
And
are their
so
domes made of bronze? Yeah, right? Like their domes on their build on the important
probably,
buildings. Yeah,
probably. But so we
right.
pick up with him later in chapter 50, and he is visiting the wounded, trying to be
Yes.
a good leader again. You know, we've seen him all smiley and friendly, our Prince Golden Retriever, in day 3, and now he's doing another part of the job, which is visiting the wounded, inspiring morale there as well. Um, and he just, he reaffirms Rahel, who's like the teenager truth watcher. She's very new with her powers. She knows how to heal, but not very well. So
Right.
she can just, they're just kind of using her for like the big things, like, um, anyone with a cut and bruise, like, sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Take some aspirin. I don't know. Um, and so, but he's reaffirming her, and then he finds an interesting duo in another
Yep.
room.
Shalash and Talenala.
To Telenala. Yeah. Ash and Talon
Talenala. Yeah,
are
Ash and Tom.
there. And Ash is just speaking nonsense. Like, look what you did to him. And Talon's just like lying there like a rock. He's very weak. Is this isn't because he like just came back or anything. Like, what's he been
No,
doing?
probably
Probably
being
fighting?
force-fed food.
I don't know. He's still very messed up from his return from Berets, which he came back at the epilogue of The Way of Kings. That
Right,
was who Wit was waiting for at that epilogue. Um, and he's just been like incoherent and like beyond insane since then. Um, but you notice how like even though he's insane like all the rest of them, he's not like doing anything nefarious.
right, right.
You
He's
know,
truly broken, man. He's
Ashar thinks
truly
he's a
broken.
god. Nail is leading the Skybreakers against humankind. Dova's doing whatever she's doing
Like
now.
she's mercenary.
Yeah,
She's super greedy and mercenary-esque, which makes me think that
yeah,
her original like disposition was like charitable and giving, and so that's
hmm
twisted, right?
yeah.
Um,
And Shalash is just kind of destroying pictures of herself. So at least she's like being self-destructive. I
right. The
don't
Herald
know.
of Beauty doesn't want art of herself. I don't know how that
Yes,
works.
yeah. But so yeah, Ash berates Adolin here, and she kind of just questions like, "I wonder if you're worth this. Like, I wonder if you're worth all this. Look what you're doing to him." And Adolin's just like, "I guess we'll see."
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Um,
And
so
then
that was haunting to me. I was like, oh man, where's
yeah,
this gonna go?
yeah. And then Adolin finishes off the day by talking with Yanagon.
Hmm.
He starts to teach Yanagon how to use plate and then how to play towers, which was mentioned earlier with Kushcam.
Hmm.
It's a way for people to learn strategy,
Yep, yep. Which
military strategy.
Sanderson, Dragon Steel, we need this in real life.
We
I
need a
need
real
it.
game of towers.
We need it. Yeah.
If you don't, we
It
will
should be
ensure nobody reads Stormlight 6 through 10. We will
Wait, it needs to
boycott.
be part of the Rock novella
Yeah,
Kickstarter that they're gonna end up doing, I'm
I'm
sure.
sure. Yeah, it'll be,
Yeah.
yeah.
That would make so much sense though, like honestly. Like they should.
Yeah, yeah. 3 years from now, they'll have the Horneater novella, Oathbringer, Leatherbound, um, and and
Rock
Towers,
or
uh,
Horneater. Yeah.
Kickstarter. Yeah,
Hmm.
it'll be perfect.
They could also do it with Brotherwise Games. Oh,
They really could.
that
They
would
are
make more
working
sense.
on. They
I
are
think they're
working
pretty busy.
on.
Yeah.
Um, they have several Cosmere games coming out. The one that's the least developed is a strategy game based on the Shattered Plains. military strategy game.
Which should just evolve to towers. It should.
It should. It's called, I think they're calling it Epic Stormlight. Um,
Yeah, that was what they referred to it as, which, it was also called the Stormlight RPG before it was called the Cosmere RPG. So we
yeah,
know they can
yeah,
change the names of it, but anywho,
yeah.
for otherwise games should make towers.
That would work.
Yeah, so he's teaching Yanagon how to use plate and towers, and we see something that will be very crucial for readers to know how hard it is to use plate when you're new to it. Like doing the delicate touches and stuff. Like he's making him play towers with like little cards
Right, they're
in the
like
plate.
inch big cards,
Yeah, so like
inch
he's like
cards.
placing down the card and like breaking like plates and tables and stuff. So it's pretty funny. Um, but yeah, it also makes Yanagon more comfortable, situated with the plate
Right. And then
as he's
there's
learning this game.
yeah, there's an important so Adolin also talks about how he misses Shallan,
Hmm.
which makes sense, right? Uh, and then Yanagon asks Adolin why he isn't radiant given that everyone loves him. And Adolin says that he doesn't want to abandon Maya and he doesn't like the oaths.
Yes. And he's going to be pondering on this for a while in this book, but
Yeah,
there's something with him that in his mind oaths just don't make sense. And
right.
that's because he's the bestest boy.
He is the bestest
He is
boy.
the bestest boy. Um but yeah, so then soon after that, the fighting starts up again. Adolin puts on his plate and charges into battle. We see him at the end of the last chapter, 54. It feels like every time we see Adolin, he's missing Shallan, and then we go to Shallan and she's missing Adolin, and
Oh,
it's just
he's
Sanderson
the
trying to
best,
keep
right?
that relationship intact, and it's very sweet and sad because they are in different realms at the moment.
They are.
Um,
And then
yeah,
Adolin talks to
so
Nora, and Nora's like, stop corrupting Yanagon with this
mhm,
friendship BS. And Adolin's like, if he's alone, if he doesn't have any friends, he's going to become a horrible person.
right, you know. She's like I forget his logical reasoning for it, but it was really good. Like he has everything. What's the one thing he doesn't have? And it's like it's a friend. And so
Right.
Adolin's like, I'm gonna be his friend. That's what I do best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Adolin's theme of the book. I'm your friend,
Yeah.
which is a little heavy-handed to Sanderson, but fair. Okay,
It works. It works for Adolin.
fair.
It works.
Yeah.
Um, and he shows her that he wants nothing of Yanagon. He simply cares because he's been in his shoes.
Hmm. Um,
Beautiful.
and she asks him. She like kind of realizes like, oh, like you had the chance for this same power, but he abdicated it. And she asks him why. And again, we get more of that oaths thing. He says it has something to do with the difference between oaths and promises, expectations versus execution.
Boom.
Big theme for the book there.
That's fair.
Yeah. So it's I feel like he handles Adolin's character the best in this book with just how
Yeah.
gradually he is building his character development. And I think some people will feel a little disappointed with where it goes in some areas, but I really enjoyed it.
I think those people are wrong.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Where does this end? So last thing is he shows her that he wants nothing of Yanagon. He
Right.
simply cares because he's been in his shoes before.
Right.
Um, which yeah, I feel like it's another. I mean, there's so many themes in this book, but there's a lot of things that tie all these different storylines together, and caring is another one of them. Just
Yeah.
simply caring.
Caring. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Let's
Yeah.
talk about Sigil real fast,
Yeah.
and
Let's
then
run
we'll
it back and
dive
talk
into the
Sigil.
spiritual realm, into the deep end of
Hmm.
the pool.
Let's do it.
Sigil has a crazy strategy that he's like, I'm not sure it'll work. Back in like day 2, right? He's like, When he's asked to lead,
Hmm.
right? He's like, I think I have a strategy.
No,
And
I don't think it was day two. I think was he in day three? It might have been day three. No.
no, he wasn't in
I
day
don't
three.
I don't know if he mentioned this I have a plan in day two. I think he
He
was more of
he
like
did.
I'm going to lead. Or maybe he did.
He
Maybe you're
did. At
right.
the very last thing we see
Yeah.
from him,
Is that what gave him more conviction? Like, you know what, maybe I can
yeah,
lead.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's the idea guy. He's the
Yeah,
plan
him.
man.
I think him and Deanno came. I think what happened was that he talked with Deanno before Deanno left about his
Maybe.
plan, but we didn't see what
Yes.
it was. Yeah.
Yes.
So now we
And it's a
finally.
great strategy. It is so brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. So there's four plateaus, Narak
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, and 4,
Which
and
Narok 1 is Narok Prime.
right, Narak Prime,
Hmm.
and there is a good map of this in the book. Right, they do a good job of making sure that we understand what's going on.
It did take me a while to figure out what's the chasm and what's the plateau, but then I think I got it eventually.
That's good. He wants Sigil wants to disguise 3 and 4 as important plateaus to draw away from Narak Prime and 2 because those are the most important plateaus. One of them contains
Narok
the Oath
Narok
Gate.
Narok Prime is the Oath Gate or is it two? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Something two had something important about it, but
Right. Right.
yeah. So he wants to use those two, and so he's trying to feint three and four as like super important. So they put more men there, knowing that the enemy will match that.
Yes.
At least to begin this
Right. To
war
begin.
battle, whatever. Yeah.
Right. The people in command or under his command are like, "Whoa, that's good. That will that work? That should work." Whoa. And then we get some interaction with Sigil's friend, Vienta,
Hmm.
right?
And
Who
she's
is,
just she's the Sigil of the honor sprint. She's
yeah,
like the math nerd, calculations.
yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
Syl had mentioned her previously in the book as being a nerd, as being like,
Okay. Yeah, I love
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So they work really well. They
Hmm.
interact really well together. It's clear their bond is strong, um, which makes Sunlit Man even worse, actually.
Yeah,
I
awful.
really, I have,
I wonder, like,
is it?
at this point, I was wondering where is Vienta during Sunlit Man? Because she was not there.
Yeah, because Sunlit Man, he talks about breaking his oaths and then
Oh,
bonding.
he does.
Yeah.
He
So
does.
I'm of the mind. I'm of two minds. I really don't know if you should read Sunlit Man before you read Wind and Truth.
I've actually told someone that they should read it after this one because I said even if it's just for the charm of the experiment to see how it reads for you because then we could talk about it after. And they said that they'll do it, but they're a long ways off, so it'll be a while.
Sure.
But I feel like there's a lot of it's just like it's a big wink, It's like it's just constantly like winking, teasing something like we all know what's gonna happen, and we're just kind of waiting for it to happen in this book. And I feel like it loses a lot of that tension because of it. I feel like if I
Uh,
was more shocked, like, oh my God, he just did what? It would have landed a little bit better for me. And Sunlit Man would feel even fresher as like, okay, where does this go from here for him?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It I completely agree. That was the only Sigil that we get in this day.
Was it?
That was.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we can dive into the spiritual realm. And potentially
Yes.
one of the funniest things in this book. Uh,
What's that?
the self-aware investiture of Hoyd.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say pattern.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true.
Is this the one where he's like Shallan's good at murder or something like that?
Yes, I think
He
so.
says like, Shallan is a good murderer. Like, we need a murder and Shallan is good at that.
Yeah. And then she meets Renarn's eyes and she's
Cracks me
like,
up.
"Oh God." Uh, so we
There's
got
few jokes where I had to pause the book, but like pattern is usually the one that gets them.
Yeah,
I
it's
just got, I
fair.
just got to laugh, you know.
It's fair. My
Sorry,
the
where are we
best
going?
joke the best joke so far I think has been from Oathbringer when Hoyd mentions um cows and Dalinar goes, "What's a cow?" And Hoyd is like, "Well, surely there's got to be some around here somewhere because of Sadeas's lineage." Um, it was so funny. Uh,
So they're all waking up in the spiritual realm. They missed a day.
they
We didn't
missed
see
the
them
day.
in day three.
And Sanderson has been hyping the spiritual realm as something super chaotic and super hard to navigate and super dangerous. And maybe it's because maybe it's because they're bondsmiths and Renarin and Verlaine have the Spren to guide them. At the end of this day, I did not feel like the spiritual realm was that dangerous.
Well, they figured out. It said it's difficult to navigate, and they figured out a way to navigate it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of urgency to start this day with this. So Dalinar's like, let's get into a vision. Let's figure out, let's learn what we came here to learn. And so he uses the rock that Wit gave him, right?
Right.
And they appear in, was it Shinovar?
Yes.
Yeah, what was old Shinovar, you know, the land of origin for humans, and they see a portal start to open,
Yes.
right? And through that they see a world on fire, which we're gonna have to assume is what we know as Ashen.
Yes. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out here that Sanderson took what could have happened when they did the nuclear bomb testing and they could have set the atmosphere on fire, right? You've seen Oppenheimer, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. They talk about that there. Um, it could have caused a chain reaction of breaking apart nuclei,
Oh,
and
that's
would
a
have
really good theory.
caused the atmosphere to be on
They're
fire.
yeah, they're still using that surge or maybe a fabrial that relies on that type of surge and created a bomb. That would be
I'm thinking
cool.
something, yeah, something with dust
Something like
bringing.
that.
Um,
Yeah. Or division,
or
you know.
yes, sorry, yes, division. Got to be
Hmm.
politically correct nowadays. Right.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, they are called sky breakers, aren't they?
yeah. Whoa. 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 That makes
Whoa, did I just break
whoa.
your mind? Did I just break your sky mind? What? Um,
No.
well,
Uh,
I actually like just realized that as I said it too. So yeah, I'm a little like, I wonder if that's where it comes from now.
I mean, they have
I
the
always just imagine that like the Windrunners run on the wind and the Skybreakers just like
because
break it, you
they
know?
have gravity and division, so sky and breaking.
Ah, that makes sense.
But also, why not have it be two meanings? A skybreaker because somebody broke the sky in Ashen. The wind approaches
Oh, they're
Dalinar.
Windrunners because they're bridge runners. Oh, now I get it.
That's got to be it.
That's gotta be it. Wait, is it? I don't know. This is chaos. Okay, anyways, where were you going?
The wind comes to Dalinar and Navani and says, "Hey, y'all should watch this because the wind seems to be like the same. Like it's the wind.
Entity as before, yeah,
Yeah, it's
as
like
we know it.
it's not an
Mhm.
old version of the wind. It is the wind.
It's
Uh,
like it's everywhere at once. It's like
yeah,
it is a piece of Adonalsium as we know. It's something he
yeah,
left behind. So maybe it's able to like breeze through all the realms and thus be everywhere at once, kind of.
right. Yes, which
Yeah.
leads us to Shallan, Renarin, and Relaine all coming into the
Hmm.
spiritual realm. They wake up. Um, they know who's in the spiritual realm, except Gavinor, right? So Mraize,
Yeah.
Eotil, Dalinar, Navani, Shallan, Renarin, and Relaine, along with
Poor
Renarin,
Gavinor.
Spren. Yeah. Shallan, Sprens. Yeah.
Yep.
And then,
It's like fish.
yeah. Well, no, fish and fishes, it's if you have multiple of the same type of fish, it's just
It's
fish.
fish.
And if you have different species, it's fishes.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I only recently learned that too. Okay. Well then, never mind.
English. Yeah, it's like moose.
Meese? Why
Mises?
is goose geese but not meese? Hmm. Anyways,
What we're gonna come back to this, to the
so Gliss and Relane's was he unnamed his spren at this point, or
No,
do
we
we
knew it
already
was
know it?
Toomey
We knew it was Toomey. Okay, so Gliss and Toomey
or Tummy.
or Toomey. Well, there's a luggage that's this spelled the same, so I just pronounce it the same as that Toomey. Um, but yeah, so
License.
they say that they have to remain hidden because they're in the realm of gods.
Right.
So
And they will kill them.
they're yeah, so they're just like, we'll help you, but from afar.
Right. As long as
Um,
we remain hidden. Uh,
yeah, they're like, imagine there's like a dark alley, like the spiritual realm is just a big alley, okay? And like they're just like in like the corner of the alley where it's like the most shade, and they're just like hiding.
right.
That's what I
Um,
imagine.
they said all gods hate what Gliss and Tummy are. Sorry, Toomey.
Right.
Can't say
Because they are of honor and cultivation, but also touched by an unmade, so they're touched by odium.
right, something like that.
Something
They're
like that.
they didn't actually explain it. They just said all of the gods would hate them. And I wonder if it's like freedom of investiture, like the investiture is self-aware.
I imagine that it's that the gods would not like the other half that is in them.
Yeah,
Cultivation would be like, I would imagine they're closer to cultivation because they have that regrowth surge.
potentially.
So I feel like they would be closer to cultivation than honor, but they are of both.
Yeah,
Um, and they would not like the piece that Ja'anat has given them. And
yeah.
similarly, Odium and Ja'anat would not like that they are spread.
They I
Or
definitely
not
agree.
Ja'anat, but
I
Odium.
think that's a solid theory. To me, they made it sound like any god anywhere would be upset at finding them. Like and down.
Oh.
That's what it read like to me. Yours
Interesting.
made
So like investiture that's become more free, more self-aware type.
yeah, because they were made like
Yeah.
so like honor spren and cultivation spren, right? Clearly made completely of honor or completely of cultivation,
Right.
right? So you could think that at any point cultivation could choose to recall all of cultivation spren because it's her investiture,
Right.
right? But if Jean Not comes and touches cultivation spren, then
They're
they can
not.
no longer be touched or no longer be pulled back by cultivation. And so, yeah, so could Jaw not do that to giant chunks of investiture? And so the shards
Interesting.
wouldn't want anybody to know about that, so they would want to kill anything that looked like it
Hmm.
could be that. That's what I was
Good
thinking.
point. Okay.
Yours is more Occam's razor though, so yours
So
technically works.
at this point, Renarin suggests that maybe they don't even need to find Beata Mishram. They just need to take out Mraize and Eotil. And Relane and Renarin are like, ooh, I don't know if I can kill people. And Pattern is like, ooh, Shallan can. She's good at killing.
It's
Let's go.
so funny. Yeah,
Yeah, that was great. I love that. Um, so skipping forward a chapter, we have just a quick Navani POV
right.
where they're watching the humans come through the Else Gate, right? Else Gate,
Yeah, it's an
portal,
Elfgate.
whatever. And they're like, wait a minute, I know these people. They're seeing the heralds. They see Ishar, Ash, Chana, Yezrian, and they see Wit.
They do see Wit, and
Yes,
Navani wants to go talk to him.
right,
And then Dalinar wanted to talk to them, but can't connect to their language. So he goes talk to the Stormfather, who is nearby. He shows up, right?
right.
And then
He's like in the side down there. He's like, I'll go talk to him.
yeah, and then Navani,
Navani's gonna scout it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Navani's gonna go talk to the refugees,
Right.
and then she decides she's gonna talk with
Yeah.
specifically.
And so they do see that they look younger. So they know
Right.
this is not, they're not like in this homeostasis of aging yet. They're not heralds yet. Um, so from here, they're just like, okay, we gotta like watch them as we go through these different visions eventually, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's ultimately what they get to. Yeah. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
then skipping to chapter 49,
Mm-hmm.
Shallan intrudes into the vision, disguising herself, um, and then locates Mraize pretty quickly because he was doing something with a wagon, right?
Yes. And Shallan's like trickery here with her light weaving is interesting because she's putting like disguise upon disguise and like like she's like she I think she throws like was it Radiant and then she puts like a disguise on Radiant. She puts a disguise on her. It was something like that, I thought.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
was
she's doing a lot of trickery and she's just being a really good actress. And Relaine and Renan are like, we can't do that. Like, you could be the spy. She's like, okay, I'll be the spy.
right.
Um,
And then
and
goes
and then
to
Formless
yeah.
comes.
After
Yes, this was
she
your theory that Formless would be back and would
That's
improve.
right. Yeah. And Formless comes out and taunts her as a possible future version of herself. And she's
Yes,
like, no,
which
I
is so
don't.
odd.
Yeah.
Is it like we're in like Shinovar where people are coming and then Formless is just there? Like,
Right.
how
Right.
did you read that? I was so confused by that.
I read it as Shallan like is connected to all of the parts of herself in the spiritual realm. So
Hmm.
Formless is still there waiting and popped up.
So kind of like Listen to Me, where investiture is getting a little bit more agency. Her
Could
different
be.
parts of herself,
Yeah.
Radiant, Veil, kind of maybe, and then Formless, um, are
Yeah,
kind of
that
just
could
able
be.
to not substantiate because they're not in the physical realm, but kind of like the equivalent in the spiritual realm.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know.
That could yeah,
That would
something
make
weird's
some
going
sense
on.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had thought that she had dealt with Formless at the end of the last book, but you had thought that there was reasons for her to come back.
Yeah, I just didn't believe it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just I felt like it was too quick. Like,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, so Glisten to me at this point, they're freaking out about lingering and making a scene. Like they're like, if we kill someone in the spiritual realm, a god's definitely gonna see that. So let's get the heck out of here.
right,
So they open a window for them to watch, but like not be discovered by the gods. Like they're not in the vision, but they're watching the vision.
right.
Um, and yeah, we had. I think that's the end of that chapter. Do we get to see how they see the visions in this one, in this day?
No, I
No,
think
okay,
I
okay.
think that's later.
It's not like a spoiler. It's just like a. I texted Alex like I can't even visualize this, and he helped me. So I just thought it would be good to help people who didn't get it either, because you had a great
Yeah.
way of explaining it. But
Wait, does Zoom allow the thing that? Oh, okay, never mind. Have you seen the thing that?
yeah, if you do that, it'll throw a
Yeah,
thumbs
it'll
up.
do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Um.
there's another thing
So
that
okay.
makes tokens. Anyways,
So then so okay. So then we have Dalinar in the same chapter.
yep,
Dalinar speaking to the Stormfather, and I put a note here because I thought this was interesting. He learns about a demigod adversary, capital A, which is referred to as the Storm.
that's weird. I didn't
I
catch
thought it was
that.
odd. I just wrote it like as word for word as I could because I didn't want to like butcher the meaning of it. But even looking back on this now, having finished it, I am confused by that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Did you listen to this part or were you reading it still?
I'm fairly certain I read it.
I'm gonna grab the book. I'm gonna see if I can find the exact quote.
Me too.
Chapter 49, right? My God, this behemoth. That's not chapter 49. That's 46. Oh, we also learn somewhere in here, right, that um the planet was previously called Alashua that they came from. Did you hear that?
No.
I was saying that chapter 46, we learned that the planet they came from was not Ashen, it was called Alashua.
Alaswa.
Alashua. Yeah.
Uh, the for some reason he didn't put the S and the H to where it would be a sh sound. He swapped them. It's Alaswa.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I
Did I?
know.
Am I
I
just
know. And I
like,
thought it was a typo. And then the next time they said it, same
oh,
thing.
you're right, Alashua.
Alaswa.
Huh.
I know. I
Man,
know.
I'm doing the Percy Jackson thing where like the words are the letters are switching around.
That's called dyslexia.
Yeah, that thing. I don't have it, but it did it. Um, where is that part where they talk about it? I know it's in here. Am I crazy? I might have to look it up in my ebook because I is struggling.
Oh, they had dogs. They brought dogs from Alaswa. And then
Yeah,
the
so we got
Stormfather was
chapter.
like, they don't live.
So he says, and the wind, you mentioned it earlier, it spoke to me. Stormfather's like a fallen god. Dalinar, a fallen god. There are gods other than honor, cultivation, and odium here on Rushar. Stormfather says there are pieces of the god who made the planet, no longer relevant as humans, poorly adapted to this land, began to fear the storm above all else. And so it took on life, became an adversary, a new demigod for Roshar. So the storm, because people perceived it as this evil entity, it became a capital A adversary.
Yes.
Adversary.
Adversary. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that was interesting. And like again, like I said, looking back on it, I'm trying to make sense of that in my mind with the rest of the book, and I'm struggling, but I think it'll make more sense on a reread. It's just a classic Stormlight book thing where like you read it the first time and you don't get all the pieces of info in the best order to understand everything. But once you know enough of the skeleton and you go back and reread it, you see a whole bunch more,
See, yep.
all the foreshadowing, all the little behind the scenes connecting the dots. It'll be a while before I reread this one, but
Yeah,
for those of
I've
you,
tried. I've tried to
yeah, for those of you who have the courage, let us know what you think this is about.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
at the end.
yeah, it's very strange.
It is very strange. So, slight spoiler in that you won't really know what this is for a while, but something to look out for, maybe. Add it to your notes.
Yeah. And then we jump to Navani POV in chapter 50. She thinks about her father as she watches the humans arrive, feeling a connection to them but unsure why. Then she thinks about Yasna and how this portal should be possible through Elsecaller abilities somehow,
Right.
which
Yasna
not
has like experimented with it, but she's never been able to replicate this not surge, but this ability, which they
right.
know is possible, but she hasn't been able to do it.
Right. Then she theorizes that Ishar is was it she that theorized this or was it you that theorized Ishar is an else caller or else has access to
Oh,
those abilities?
that was me. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
I
No
should
worries.
move that in. Yeah. I was I was wondering like we see Ashar's making the portal. Oh no, Navani does see this. Navani sees that he's the one making the portal, and she's like, is he able to do else calling or did he
Right.
change? What's going on?
And we know that
So,
the recreants happened because the humans abandoned their spren because for fear of surge binding
well,
of the
I thought it
surges.
was because they had learned that they were the Void Bringers. They were the ones from another world who were taking this land and didn't think that was honorable. So they decided together to lay down their swords. At least that was a part of it. That
That
was
was a
what I
part
remembered
of it.
from Oathbringer.
Well, that was
There's a
well,
lot of
two things.
reasons for the recreants, and we get like
Yeah.
it feels like we get another reason every book. But that's the one that I think of the most. So maybe there's another one that you're thinking about.
It felt like there were two things happening in Oathbringer at the same time. The first is that they from what I remember, which could be wrong, put it in the comments. Uh, if you've gotten this far, the secret word is Bippy, and the first person who comments Bippy gets a shout out next episode. Um, the first thing is Recreants, they realized that Surge Binding could destroy the planet. And then also during Oathbringer, what was happening, the second thing was that the humans at present time in Oathbringer were finding out that they were the Voidbringers. Were the two intertwined for the Recreants that heavily?
I don't know.
I don't remember anymore. Somebody in the comments put Bippy and answer our question. And then,
So that she's trying to talk to the Heralds, right? Yezrian, and Wit's there,
yep,
and Wit is like very odd because he's like aware that he's not real. Um, so he's translating messages for Navani.
is one of the, it's like such a clever, a
Is
clear,
I just have to imagine that Wit himself is like of an investiture that's become self-aware at this point because like he's
right?
so odd,
It is very
right?
odd. But yeah, it's very clever that Sanderson did that with Wit's character.
Hmm.
Now Wit wonders out loud if this is how the Ariali feel. Puppets of investiture,
Hmm.
which makes
At
me
at at
think,
his at his infliction, like at his condition here,
right,
right?
right. Which makes me think that all of the Ariali people are, I mean, they follow the one, right? We know this from the Stormlight Archive game. We've gotten, or the Cosmere RPG game.
And we're supposed to think that the one is Adonalsium, right? Like we as readers think that,
I believe so. And it could
but
be,
it's probably their own god,
right.
their own shard.
Yeah. Which shard could it be?
You have good theories on this. What do you
I
think?
I do have
Oh,
good
yeah,
theories
we
on
can't we
this.
can't speak on it yet,
We're
huh?
not going to talk about it just yet, but
Okay.
I do want to talk about the etymology of Ariali, uh,
Hmm.
which I talked to you briefly about earlier. I think Ari, he took Ari as the um,
You want to pull it up?
yeah, what's the word for the prefix? The prefix Ari he took from iridescent.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ali means great in Persian. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so great light, great iridescence, great goldenness.
Great light.
So later,
Interesting.
later, I'm going to try to attach that to a shard. And then Navani and Shalash touch hands. And Navani asks the wind for guidance, and in turn takes Shalash's ribbon as a tether to the
Yes.
Oath Pact's founding, and the vision fades away.
Yes. So she has found a new anchor to hopefully navigate these visions, right?
Yep.
Which will lead to them theorizing they need to find more anchors.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So then where was that? We're on chapter 49 now?
That was 50.
Oh, that
And
was
now,
50.
now
Okay.
we jump to
54.
54.
Okay.
We end the day with
This is the
Shalar
last
and
chapter.
Marvin Lane. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't see them. We don't see what they do with that ribbon yet then.
Right. And it looks like so they come out of the vision and Gliss and Toomey put them in another vision. Um but
Yeah, and they look at the clouds, right? Shallan.
yes.
Shallan and Testament stare at the clouds, and Shallan sees that Bam is staring back through the
Yeah.
clouds. There's like her face is in the clouds, kind of like the Storm Father with the storm.
It's crazy. Uh
Yeah. And then she also
Lane,
appears in the ground.
right.
So they with their spren, all was it six, seven? Seven, because
Seven.
Testament and
Seven of
Shallan.
them.
So
Yeah.
all
Oh,
seven of them. Because they don't have Gav with them, right? Where did
right.
he go?
We don't know
Oh,
yet.
Gav's with Dalinar and Navani, maybe, right?
He hasn't been found yet.
He hasn't been found yet. Okay. Um, so they see her in the ground again, and so they all retreat into a building encased with crem, which is before the humans had cleared them out.
Right. And then Relaine is like, this looks like my home from a long time ago where I raised axe hounds. And Bernard was
Renard's like,
like,
"You raise axe
raised
hounds? What?
raised axe hounds? I'm
What
so
the
in love with
hell?"
you. And then they connect, Relaine and Renard connect over their shared lonely experiences as youths. They refocus
Yes.
on their mission and how to best avoid gods, and they decide they need to trap or kill the Ghostblood assassins. They don't really need to tamper with Ba Edo Mishram's prison, and that's it.
Even if it is apparently leaking because she's supposed to be trapped, but they keep seeing her pop up places.
Right,
So
right.
something's going on.
Something's up. Something's up.
Something's up. Yeah. Which good foreshadowing, Sanderson. I like it.
Right,
Yeah. So that's the whole day, right? There's no like Yasna or anything
right.
or Venli. Yeah, where is Venli? Where's Yasna and Venli? What are they doing?
Finally shows up the first chapter of.
I know. I was just wondering that in at this point in reading is
Oh,
like
okay.
there's other characters, right? Like what are they doing during these days?
Well,
I
you've been
I did
mentioned the
imagine that
news.
we would see them later on and Sanderson just be like, by the way, they were doing this, but yeah.
Yep.
So
Now,
and it wasn't until day 5, and we'll get to that, where I started to make sense of another story from the Lost Tales. I've
oh,
only read I've only read one of these, but once I got to that part, I was like, oh, that makes sense why that second one is what it is.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I
My
gotcha.
chasm friend here, Rocky. You see him? You got
Oh,
your own Rocky up there.
I do. Yeah. Now the epigraphs um are interesting for day four. They're from Words of Radiance, and we're not gonna be too much longer here. I'm not gonna read all of them out. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's from Words of Radiance, the in-world book, not the Stormlight Archive book, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, they talk about different radiant orders not being at peace with one another, right?
Yeah, well
Essentially,
they focus on one or two of them from what I remember, right?
yeah, they mentioned the Will Shapers and the Skybreakers,
Hmm.
and really the Skybreakers.
The
They're focusing on the
Skybreakers.
Skybreakers.
Yeah. And so I have told Alex this many times before this book came out that based on similar epigraphs in the Words of Radiance real book, um, Stormlight Archive one, uh, I was theorizing that there's going to be a schism in the Skybreakers, and Szeth was going to lead that charge of a breaking off from Nail, because Nail is like a bad guy, and their Skybreakers are doing, so to the letter of the law that it's like not avoiding, it's ignoring the spirit of the law, and that Szeth was going to lead that new group.
Right, right.
Right.
That's a good
That
theory.
was my theory at this point,
I really,
and before.
I felt like some of these Sanderson was just trying to show off or be obtuse with his wording. Um, like this one says, I challenge that itself to be perfidious. Having studied much of their natures and having made a specific attempt to represent their minds accurately, I find myself confident in my delineation. It is of particular passion and perfection in me, as perhaps I would have known them myself given opportunity.
Yeah,
What are you talking
they're
about?
very dense. It's like textbook reading.
Yeah. But then it turns out to be about the Skybreaker disagreements.
Right. And I think it even does mention that there was a schism in the past, which
Yes.
I don't think there had been that before, So I thought I was sneaky and smart for thinking there might be a schism coming up, but then we get that one. Oh, there's been some in the past. Definitely gonna get one sometime soon, I hope,
Right.
because Nail is not nice.
Yeah,
But yeah,
pretty
so
much.
cool. So that's day four.
That is day four. What was your favorite moment?
Oh man. I mean, I've said it many times now, but the pattern joke I thought was just so funny. Shallan good at murder. But also the fight with Zeth.
Yeah,
And I mean, that was just so cool. Oh man.
I agree.
Yeah. Anything with Nightblood and Zeth, like I'm gonna love.
It's pretty cool. I'd say
Yeah.
the wit being self-aware,
Mm,
that was
hmm
that was well done.
Yeah.
That was memorable. Yeah.
That was very good. Yeah.
Well, thank you
I
for
do
joining
I
me.
do look
Oh,
forward to rereading this book for those moments like that.
yeah.
I don't look forward to rereading it for like just the whole journey of it, but like there's a lot of cool nuggets
There
sprinkled
are.
throughout that just like yeah.
Gonna have to reread the whole thing. I don't think I can just start at Wind and Truth.
Yeah.
I gotta take
Oh
it
yeah.
back.
Yeah, I mean I'll probably wait a while till I do
Yep.
that. Maybe a
Yeah.
year or two out from book six.
Probably gonna be 8 years for me, and then I'll read it all right before Stormlight 6.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Am
not
I?
bad.
Anyways,
Cool, man.
thank you for joining me. Um, Griff is not here for reasons unknown, and so we'll just skip his thing, and I'll just say life before death, strength before weakness.
Journey before donuts.